All right, Jesse and Fire, welcome back. So I'm going to do this video separate. I had this in my, I'm doing a video, or I'm putting up a video right now about the experience that we had at Diaz and Jake Paul last night and this weekend in general. I got some crazy stories to tell you guys about UFC fighters almost beating up people in my crew. There's the overall experience at the fight, which was incredible, and the weekend, all that. So, that's that video. Now, I was originally going to put this section in that video, but it got too long, and I want to make sure that I itemize this one separately because I can't listen to analysts and YouTubers and anyone else say this take anymore about Jake Paul. I can't do it. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's the worst take on the internet. And literally, it seems like every single person is saying it. I think I understand why, but I just can't imagine how a person is going to hear what I'm going to say about their take about Jake Paul and then not recognize that what they're saying is stupid. Like, it's a stupid take, man. It's just a stupid take. Now, not every single person is saying it, not every YouTuber, but a lot of them are saying it. And to me, the take I'm talking about is very specifically, it's like an underhanded dig. They're hating on him in a way that is so dumb because it doesn't even apply to anything he's doing, okay? And like I said, I've heard so many people saying it that it's like, listen, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to start conflict with people today. I'm just going to point out that what you're doing is just hating. Like, that's all. You're just hating because there's no validity to what you're saying at all. And I will stop being mysterious and tell you exactly what that is in a second. And also, I'm going to tell you what Nate Diaz has that Conor McGregor does not have. Because I realized it last night when I was at the event that there is a very, very distinct thing related to the relationship with the fans that Nate has that Conor does not have. And it's important. It's really important. You know, if you're a student of the combat sports game and you're interested in the engagement, why guys are huge superstars and all of that stuff, I mean, this was profound to me last night, you know, because I've never seen a reaction to a fighter like I did to Nate Diaz last night. Now I understand why the UFC fought so hard to keep Nate, you know, because, man, I've been to a million fights. I've never been to a Nate Diaz fight. And this was different, dude. This was different, man. The crowd loves him. Loves him. I can't emphasize that word enough to give it the gravity that it deserves. They love him. And when I say they, I mean we. It was insane. The only time I've seen someone get a similar reaction from the crowd was when Trump walked into Miami at UFC 287, you know, in Florida. Those are the only two entrances that I've seen that were equivalent. Like, because that gave me goosebumps, and I got crazy goosebumps from all the things Nate did on the way in and out, and was just like, I'll tell you all about it. But it's very notable as it relates to Conor. Not because Conor would get less of a reaction, but it's just a really notable thing. Now, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I would appreciate it if you guys would do that. I love you guys so much. The growth of the channel is all thanks to you guys, and I am working very hard. I would subscribe to your channel if you were the one with the channel and I was watching yours, so I would appreciate it if you guys would do that. All right, so let's start with the worst take from analysts about Jake Paul, which for whatever reason seems to be the most consistent one from current or former fighters, okay? In both boxers and UFC fighters, okay? And this is what that take is. And I'm going to literally just it's not even about prove, disprove. I'm going to just shatter this take, okay? So the take that I keep hearing is, look, you know, is Jake, I mean, you know, how good is he really? Like, he's a good boxer. He's a decent boxer now. You know, he's worked really hard. He's a decent boxer. I mean, if you put him up against like a really good pro, what do you think? I mean, how do you think he's going to do? He's going to get killed, man. He's going to get smashed. If you put him up against a real boxer, like a really big pro boxer, he's going to get smashed, you know? So, like, yeah, I mean, it's good, man. I was impressed by his cardio. You know, he had great cardio, and, you know, he puts on a good show. Hey, more power to him, man. He's marketing, and he's doing great. But, like, let's just be honest, you know, put him against a top pro, he's not gonna do well. And I watched that, and I'm just like, I don't think that they are aware how big a hater they're being right now, and here's exactly why, okay? So, first of all, I understand why your instinct would be to hate on Jake Paul if you are a current or former, fighter. Anybody who is a current or former fighter who has a platform on YouTube generally has a decent reach, or is a pretty big star, right? Because that's why people are watching them on YouTube. And so I completely understand where you dedicated your entire life to martial arts, you are an objectively better fighter than him, because normally that is the way that you measure the quality of a combat sports athlete. Is like, would I beat him? And like these guys that know for sure that they would beat Jake Paul in a real fight, maybe in a boxing match, depending on who they are, they're having to watch this guy just stack millions of dollars every single time that he fights. 30, who knows what he's going to make for last night, right? He said he made 30 for the Tommy Fury fight. But you're just having to watch him do this when he's objectively not a top level elite pro boxer. And so, yeah, you can't even help yourself. It's like, like people just can't help themselves. They're like, he's not that good. And it's like, okay, but this is why it's such a stupid take, is because Jake Paul, except for trolling, like, oh, I'll take on Canelo, has never even said that his agenda is to become a champion in boxing. It's not his agenda. That's not what he said he's doing, okay? That's, first of all, not what he said he's doing. That's one. Number two, Tommy Fury is a pro boxer, okay? No one's, again, I'm not even going to get into that conversation. That doesn't even matter, actually. But Jake Paul was 6-1 or something going into last night, or 7. I mean, now he's like 7-1. So he's either got, I can't remember. He's got 6 or 7 total boxing matches. Okay. Now, if you are a young pro who has that level of experience in pro boxing, are you fighting against world champions in boxing at this stage? No, you're not. Are you fighting against elite talent that could be challenging for world champion? Like, no, you're not. What you're doing, and everybody knows this, is if you're trying to get to that place, right now you are fighting as often as you can, and you are padding your record, looking for fights with people that you know you're going to beat. That is what they do, when you're 5-0, 6-0. Is you look for favorable matchups, anyone who will take a fight, and you try to fight often. You're not going to take one of these elite fighters because you don't want your record to suffer. You want to be undefeated. You want to get to 20-0 and be undefeated, okay? And so the problem for Jake is that he is globally famous. He's like Kardashian famous, right? The equivalent boxers who are at the talent level that any boxer that's at Jake Paul's level would be looking at are nobodies, obviously. They haven't broken out. They have nearly no profile at all. The people that he would be looking for if he was just any other pro boxer at the current stage. But he needs to sell pay-per-views. So instead of going and getting up-and-coming pro boxers that he can't sell a fight around, he's going and he's getting former UFC fighters who are of similar skill level. He is absolutely supposed to beat them, just like he would be supposed to beat any pro boxer that he was setting up at the exact same stage of his career. Except these guys have enormous profile because they're former UFC stars, which means he could sell a pay-per-view around it and make $30 million. So like the critique is just dumb because no one is saying that he's a world champion. Like, it's like, I just don't understand. Like, I look at what he's doing and I go, man, his gas tank was impressive, man. Nate made it ugly and he came through. And look at this event that these guys co-promoted. It's incredible. And it's like, yeah, but he couldn't beat like a really elite pro. You're like, how is that relevant? I honestly, and maybe I'm missing the point. I don't understand how that's relevant. There's no one who is saying that he would beat an elite pro. Like, no one. Jake's not saying that. There are no analysts that are saying that. There's not one person who is even bringing up how he would do against elite pros unless you're hating on him to point out that he couldn't beat an elite pro, but it's in response to nothing because no one ever said he could. Dude, the guy was doing YouTube creator boxing a few years ago. And he just loved it and he was really good. And so he put in the work, and then he started like, hey, maybe I'll take on a UFC fighter. I'll take on the worst striker ever. And Ben Askren starches him. All right, you want me to step it up? I'll take on Tyron Woodley, who is Ben Askren's best friend and who has starched tons of guys in the UFC striking. He's very, very much more dangerous than Askren. And everyone's like, whoa, if he takes Woodley, man, if he takes on Woodley, this is the part that really drives me crazy. If he really does take on Woodley, if he really does, then I got to put respect on his name. I got to, right? So he takes on Woodley and he wins. And they're like, yeah, but like, it was a pretty bad fight. He does a rematch. He starches Woodley. Okay? And you get a little bit where they're like, yeah, but Woodley lost 4 in a row. It's not the same Woodley. And his output was really bad. He's like, he just didn't look like he was all there. I don't know, I don't know. You're like, all right. He takes on Anderson Silva, who no one thought he was going to beat because Anderson Silva had done professional boxing and looked fantastic against I believe, current boxing champion. Obviously not an elite one, but the son of an elite one, and he looked great. And so it's Anderson Silva. He's like, yeah, but man, I mean, seriously, he's 46 years old. It's still Anderson Silva. No one can question his striking pedigree. And yeah, he's a little bit older, but he wasn't a super explosive striker anyway. You know what I mean? He's objectively a fantastic striker. And Jake Paul chose Anderson Silva, and he won. He beat him. And people, but he won't take on a boxer though, man. He won't take on a boxer. So he takes on an undefeated boxer, an undefeated professional boxer, who obviously is very young, and he's at a similar place that Jake is at. Of course he's not fighting top pros. He's at the stage where he's building up his record, he's building up experience. The fact that he can't beat elite pros now, it's like, dude, he only has 6 fights. I think Tommy's 9-0 now. But it's just a stupid critique because it's totally irrelevant, right? So he fights Tommy. He loses. I think he lost a split decision, although I thought Tommy Fury decisively won. But nonetheless, so he loses a decision. So then he goes and does this big money fight with Nate Diaz, and he gets tested. If you think he wasn't tested in this fight, you're crazy, dude. Nate made it ugly. Any person who was even had questionable cardio would have been gassed to the gills. He dug deep. Dude, he's a dog, man. He showed the dog in that fight, man. He really did. Nate makes it ugly. Zombies fools, dude. And Jake was still there all the way along. So, like, I just don't, I understand it. Really what I want to do is just point out to people who are saying that this is not a relevant point. You're just hating, which is fine, dude. Listen, don't get me wrong also. Don't get me wrong. If you don't like someone, you can hate on him all you want. Like, just hate on, Just be like, he sucks, dude. He'd get worked by a boxer. He sucks. As long as you recognize that talk track is just you hating. That's all that is. It's not relevant in any way whatsoever other than you don't like him, so you're going to say something to minimize what he's accomplished. Aside from that, it has no relevance at all because no one is saying that he would beat an elite boxer. No one would expect him to at the stage that he's at. So it's stupid. It's irrelevant. Now, the other thing I was going to talk about is what Nate Diaz has that Conor doesn't. Because again, the crowd reaction to Nate Diaz, I have never seen anything like that in my entire life. I've been to a lot of fights, man. I mean, between 2022 and 2023, we haven't even done that many this year. I think we've done 11 or 12 events. I mean, that's a lot of shows, dude. And I have never seen anything like Nate Diaz's entrance. And I've been in Miami when fucking Masvidal came out. I was in Miami when Masvidal came out to fight Gilbert Burns. Not even comparable. Not even, you got a big reaction. Not comparable to Nate Diaz's entrance. It was like, I don't even know how to describe it. Do people love him, man? And here's what he has that Conor doesn't. He can lose and still win. Nate Diaz can lose and still win. Last night he lost, still won. Still won. The next time he fights, it'll be just as big. I mean, there's not one person who was at that event who would not pay double next time to go to the next Nate Diaz fight. That's how exciting and fun it was, man. And, all he has to do, dude, he guillotines him in the 10th round and kind of, hey, and then boom, he won. He still won. It's like, yeah, he lost the boxing match, but he demonstrated like he could choke him out anytime he wanted to, Hey, it's not a real fight. Just like that. Just not a real fight. I mean, he lost, but he won. Conor can't do that, dude. Now, you could say that that's a compliment to Conor because Conor's, brand is built around excellence and the octagon or whatever, and he would probably take pride in the fact that he can't lose and still maintain the same level of, I don't know, whatever. Although, listen, I have not been to a fight when Conor's there either, and I will just say that. So it's possible Conor's reaction is just like Nate's, but I still will stand by. Conor can't just like lose and lose and lose and still, expect to have the same type of energy around his fights that Nate, it seems like Nate always will, dude. Honestly. There's just something different about him, dude. The crowd absolutely loves him. They were, fuck Jake Paul. Fuck Jake Paul. Fuck Jake Paul. The whole entire place. I will tell you guys, I will admit this. I never boo, dude. I never boo fighters. Never. Never boo. Unless they are doing something either dirty or they're stalling on a level, like they're intentionally stalling. And it's like, oh, come on. But I really don't like when people boo, especially not if it's not, whatever. But I booed my heart out last night. And here's exactly why. Because Jake loves it. He loves it. And it's different. And I'm pretty sure I cut this out of my other video. If this is redundant, I apologize. But bottom line is this, dude. There are people who play the heel. There are people who play the heel. And the people who play the heel really well, at least the examples that I'm thinking of right now, they become immune to the boos, right? Colby, perfect example. He goes and trolls everyone. He gets a bunch of energy around his fight. And then when people boo, he doesn't care. He's trained himself to not bother him. I've never seen someone who genuinely is energized by the boos and loves it like Jake. And as soon as I saw him on the thing and I was looking, I'm like, oh, wow, he genuinely loves this. So I was like, boo! Not because I don't like him, not because I wasn't rooting for him. It's because I'm like, let's all, like we're all doing this together, right? If it's a fuck Jake Paul, go Nate. I'm in. Let's do it. I have nothing but respect for Jake, and I think that what he's done, I'm doing an entire video just pointing out how I think that this take is, I just don't understand how anyone can still hate on him. I really don't. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's like, if someone, when he started, when he started, he didn't grow up boxing. He's done this through hard work and ingenuity and being brilliant. Do you really think that any of this stuff is an accident? Do you really think that the entire place booing him is an accident? He's a fucking genius, man. And that another thing, dude. So a bunch of guys in my crew met Ariel at Fighter Hotel this weekend, and they were like, dude, he's so nice. He's such a nice dude. And I've told people this a million times. The reason why I never hammer Ariel is because Ariel was incredibly kind to me years before I had even started my channel. And so when I look at this stuff with like Jamal Hill, Guru, and Patty and them lighting him up, I love it, dude. But I love it because it's great. It's like a great story. Jamal Hill gets to build his channel. Guru gets to build his channel. Patty gets to get involved, whatever. I think he really does genuinely hate Ariel. Ariel gets to, get attention from this thing, and it's like everybody wins, Everybody wins. No one's channel is going to suffer from this. Everyone's channel is going to benefit from this, If you put Ariel in the room with any of these guys and just talk about regular shit, they'd all get along, It's like the conflict is good. It's all good for everybody. And Jake Paul understands that, and he leverages that to do what he's doing, and it's incredible. But you can't fake the fight part, dude. You can't fake it. He's not faking it. He has trained himself to be able to win in a combat sports fight with Anderson Silva, Nate Diaz, Tyron Woodley. Put some respect on this fucking guy's name at some point, man. Anyway, that's what I got. Love you guys.